Welcome back, coin collectors and treasure hunters. Today we're exploring the fascinating world of the Liberty Jefferson Nickel 5-cent coin, one of America's most iconic coins. At first glance, it may seem like an ordinary 5-cent piece, but some Jefferson Nickels are surprisingly rare and can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. We'll uncover the history, key dates, valuable mint errors, and the hidden details that collectors search for. So stay with us until the end, because the Jefferson Nickel in your pocket could be far more valuable than you ever imagined. Liberty Jefferson Nickel's 5-cent coin from 1945 carries a fascinating story that begins in the middle of World War II, when the United States needed nickel metal for military production, and changed the composition of its 5-cent coins to a special wartime alloy made of silver, manganese, and copper. At first glance, it may seem like an ordinary pocket coin, but a closer look reveals a remarkable piece of American history marked by the large P mint mark above Monticello on the reverse. The first time the Philadelphia Mint placed such a prominent mint mark on a circulating U.S. coin. The bright gray appearance, unique metallic tone, and historical connection make this coin instantly recognizable to experienced collectors. Yet thousands of people still overlook it every year because they never realize how different it truly is from a standard Jefferson nickel. That combination of history, wartime necessity, and hidden identity has transformed the 1945 Jefferson nickel into one of the most intriguing coins collectors love to study. The design itself rewards careful observation because every detail tells part of its story. Thomas Jefferson's portrait displays strong contours when well struck, while the reverse showcases Monticello with crisp architectural details that become increasingly difficult to find on heavily circulated examples. Many coins spent decades changing hands, leaving flattened steps, worn lettering, and softened rims, but the lucky few that escaped heavy circulation often display sharp details that immediately attract attention. Collectors pay special attention to the quality of the strike, the brilliance of the surfaces, and the overall eye appeal, because these factors separate ordinary examples from coins that command serious interest. Even subtle differences in luster, contact marks, and preservation can dramatically influence how desirable a particular 1945 nickel becomes. Beyond normal circulation pieces, the real excitement begins with mint errors and unusual varieties that continue to fuel treasure hunting dreams. Some collectors search relentlessly for doubled lettering that appears on parts of the inscriptions, while others inspect every coin for off-center strikes, clip planchets, die cracks, lamination flaws, broad strikes, rotated dies, or other unusual mint anomalies created during production. These errors are not equally dramatic, and many require magnification to identify correctly, but they add mystery and excitement because no two discoveries are exactly alike. Every roll of old nickels carries the possibility that an overlooked mistake slipped through quality control more than 80 years ago, waiting for someone patient enough to recognize its significance before anyone else. As collectors become more experienced, they learn that rarity is not defined by age alone, but by a combination of preservation, originality, and unusual characteristics. A beautifully preserved wartime nickel with frosty luster, minimal marks, and fully defined details can be dramatically more desirable than dozens of heavily worn examples. Coins that remain untouched by harsh cleaning or polishing often receive greater appreciation, because original surfaces preserve the coin's authentic history. That is why experienced collectors carefully examine every angle under proper lighting, searching for tiny clues that reveal whether a coin has survived the decades in exceptional condition or has been altered in ways that reduce its long-term appeal. Imagine discovering a forgotten 1945 Jefferson nickel inside an old family jar, a dusty drawer, or a collection that has not been opened for decades, only to realize it may deserve much closer examination. While no value is ever guaranteed, illustrative market scenarios help explain why collectors pay such close attention. Certain minor but desirable variations could attract illustrative values around $2,500 to $3,500. Higher grade examples may illustrate figures near $5,000. Unusual mint anomalies could reach illustrative levels around $6,000. Especially desirable collector pieces might be discussed around $7,500. Exceptionally preserved or uncommon examples could illustrate values approaching $8,000. Unusual finds with especially strong collector demand might be compared to $8,500. And extraordinary or historically significant examples have occasionally inspired discussions illustrating values up to $9,000. These examples are educational illustrations rather than promises, but they demonstrate why one overlooked coin can feel as exciting as discovering a sudden windfall or finding money toward a down payment on a home. Before assuming any wartime nickel is valuable, careful examination becomes essential because small details often make the biggest difference. Verify the weight using a precise digital scale, since wartime silver nickels differ from regular post-war issues. Study the metal color for the distinctive silver gray appearance instead of the warmer tone found on standard nickel alloys. Inspect the strike alignment to ensure the designs are properly centered. Evaluate the rim for unusual thickness or irregular shape, and carefully search for letter doubling that may indicate an important variety instead of ordinary wear or machine doubling. Each of these observations contributes to understanding whether the coin deserves closer professional evaluation rather than relying on assumptions. Professional authentication remains one of the smartest steps any collector can take because many characteristics that appear unusual may have harmless explanations, while truly important varieties often require expert confirmation. Specialists examine microscopic details, identify genuine mint-produced features, detect cleaning or alterations, assign an accurate grade, and determine whether a coin belongs among the finest surviving examples. That expert opinion can make an enormous difference when a collector decides to insure, preserve, or eventually sell a remarkable discovery, ensuring that historical significance and condition are documented according to recognized industry standards rather than guesswork. The remarkable journey of the 1945 P. Liberty Jefferson Nickel proves that history, craftsmanship, and chance can all fit inside a single 5-cent coin that countless people have overlooked for generations. Every old coin jar, inherited collection, forgotten piggy bank, or dusty box in an attic still holds the possibility of revealing a hidden treasure that quietly waited decades for the right person to notice its secrets. Most coins will simply remain interesting historical keepsakes, but every careful inspection carries the thrill that the next discovery could become a once-in-a-lifetime story. And just when you think you've uncovered everything the wartime Jefferson Nickel has to reveal, another astonishing coin with an even more unbelievable mystery is waiting to challenge everything collectors thought they knew. Liberty Jefferson Nickel's 5-cent coin from 1941 carries a quiet mystery that most people never notice as it passes through old collections, forgotten jars, and inherited family boxes. At first glance, it seems like an ordinary 5-cent piece featuring Thomas Jefferson on the front and his historic Monticello home on the reverse. Yet beneath its familiar appearance lies a fascinating chapter of American history just before the United States entered World War II. Minted during a time of uncertainty, the 1941 Jefferson Nickel represents the final era before the famous wartime silver nickels appeared. Millions were produced, but only a tiny percentage survived decades of circulation with their original detail intact, making exceptional examples surprisingly desirable among collectors who know exactly what to look for. The visual details of a genuine 1941 Jefferson Nickel reveal far more than most people expect. Sharp hair strands above Jefferson's forehead, crisp lettering around the rim, and the intricate steps leading to Monticello can dramatically affect collector interest. Coins that escaped heavy wear often display remarkable luster that still flashes under bright light after more than 80 years. Tiny differences in the strike, rim thickness, or surface texture can separate a common coin from one that sparks excitement at a professional grading table. Even subtle changes in the color of the metal, whether brilliant nickel gray or softly toned from decades of storage, tell part of the coin's unique journey through history. Collectors become especially intrigued when unusual varieties begin to appear. A doubled letter in Liberty, slight doubling in the date, an off-center strike, clipped planchet, die crack, or a dramatic misalignment between the front and back can transform an ordinary-looking nickel into an unforgettable conversation piece. While many unusual marks are simply damage from circulation, genuine mint-made errors are carefully studied because they occurred during the manufacturing process itself. These fascinating mint anomalies continue to fuel searches through old collections, proving that even one overlooked 1941 nickel can hold an unexpected story waiting to be discovered. As the mystery deepens, so does the possibility of value, although every coin must be evaluated individually, and these figures are only illustrative examples rather than guaranteed prices. Minor collectible variations or attractive preserved pieces may sometimes inspire discussions in the range of $2,500 to $3,500. High-grade examples with exceptional eye appeal have been associated with illustrative values around $5,000, while unusual mint anomalies could attract attention near $6,000. Rare collector pieces with especially desirable characteristics might be discussed around $7,500, and exceptionally preserved or uncommon examples could reach illustrative figures of approximately $8,000. Unusual discoveries with strong collector demand have occasionally been compared to $8,500, while extraordinary or historically significant examples may be valued as high as $9,000 under the right circumstances, always depending on authenticity, condition, rarity, and current market demand. Imagine opening an old family coin album that has remained untouched for generations, and finding a bright 1941 Jefferson nickel tucked between faded photographs and handwritten notes. What once seemed like an ordinary keepsake suddenly becomes the center of attention as experts examine every detail. The excitement can feel like discovering hidden treasure inside your own home, a surprise capable of reminding anyone that history sometimes survives in the smallest objects. Although large values are never guaranteed, stories like these inspire collectors because they demonstrate how patience, knowledge, and careful observation can occasionally lead to remarkable discoveries. Before assuming any coin is valuable, responsible examination is absolutely essential. Compare its weight with official specifications using a precise digital scale. Study the natural color of the metal under proper lighting. Inspect whether the strike is properly aligned. Examine the rim for unusual thickness or distortion, and carefully search for genuine letter doubling instead of ordinary wear. Magnification often reveals details invisible to the naked eye, but even experienced collectors recognize the importance of distinguishing real mint errors from damage caused after the coin entered circulation. Every promising feature deserves careful documentation before conclusions are reached. Professional authentication plays a critical role in separating excitement from certainty. Independent grading specialists evaluate authenticity, preservation, surface quality, strike strength, and possible mint errors using established standards recognized throughout the numismatic community. A professionally authenticated 1941 Jefferson nickel not only provides confidence to collectors, but also helps establish realistic market expectations based on current demand, rather than rumors or wishful thinking. Whether the final result is modest or extraordinary, accurate identification remains the most valuable step in the entire collecting journey. Somewhere tonight, another forgotten 1941 Jefferson nickel may still be hiding inside a dusty cigar box, resting quietly in an inherited collection, or waiting unnoticed in the back of an old drawer, carrying a story that has remained untold for more than 8 decades. It could become nothing more than a cherished family memory, or it could turn into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery that feels as significant as a sudden windfall or even the beginning of a down payment on a home. The only way to know is through careful examination, patience, and professional verification, because history has a remarkable habit of hiding extraordinary treasures in the most ordinary places. And the next coin we'll uncover may reveal an even more shocking secret. The 1952 Liberty Jefferson Nickel is one of those ordinary-looking 5-cent coins that has quietly traveled through countless pockets, cash registers, and collections, while hiding a fascinating story that many people never stop to appreciate. At first glance, it appears almost identical to millions of other Jefferson Nickels, featuring the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the front and his historic home, Monticello, on the reverse. Yet beneath that familiar design lies a chapter of American coinage that continues to captivate collectors decades later. Produced during a period of economic stability following World War II, the 1952 Jefferson Nickel represents an era when American manufacturing was booming. But even in years of high production, tiny differences created during the minting process could transform an everyday coin into something remarkably desirable. That possibility is exactly what keeps collectors searching through old jars, inherited collections, and forgotten coin albums year after year. The true excitement surrounding the 1952 Jefferson Nickel comes from the countless small details that most people overlook. Every letter, every number, every edge, and every surface tells part of the coin's journey. Coins struck at different mints can display subtle differences in strike quality, luster, and overall appearance, while years of circulation often leave behind scratches, smoothing, and discoloration that reveal decades of use. Occasionally, however, a coin escapes heavy wear, preserving its original mint brilliance almost exactly as it appeared the day it was struck. These exceptionally preserved examples instantly attract attention because they become increasingly difficult to locate as time passes. Collectors also examine the placement of the date, the sharpness of Jefferson's hair, the crispness of Monticello's steps, and even the smallest imperfections that could separate a common coin from a truly remarkable discovery. As the search becomes more serious, attention shifts toward mint errors and unusual production characteristics that can dramatically increase collector interest. Slight die misalignments, doubled lettering, off-center strikes, die cracks, clip planchets, and unusual rim formations are all possibilities that specialists carefully investigate. Some examples display stronger details than expected, while others reveal fascinating flaws created during the striking process itself. These mint anomalies tell unique stories because they were never intentionally created, making each one different from the next. Even tiny variations can spark excitement when they are confirmed as genuine mint-made characteristics rather than post-mint damage. That mystery is part of the thrill, because every old nickel has the potential to surprise even experienced collectors. As stories circulate through the collecting community, people naturally begin wondering what a 1952 Jefferson nickel could actually be worth. The answer depends entirely on authenticity, condition, rarity, and collector demand. Illustrative examples often show that minor but desirable variations could attract values in the range of approximately $2,500 to $3,500, while particularly high-grade coins may reach around $5,000 in the right market. Certain unusual mint anomalies have been discussed with illustrative figures near $6,000, and rare collector pieces with especially attractive qualities have sometimes been compared to values around $7,500. Exceptionally preserved or uncommon examples may be discussed at approximately $8,000, while unusual finds with especially strong collector demand could approach $8,500. In extraordinary or historically significant situations, illustrative discussions sometimes reach as high as $9,000. These figures are examples only, never guarantees, because every coin is unique and market prices constantly change. Imagine opening an old family coin box that has remained untouched for decades, expecting nothing more than loose change, only to discover a brilliant 1952 Jefferson Nickel staring back at you with unusually sharp details and nearly flawless surfaces. Moments like that fuel countless collector dreams, because history has shown that remarkable coins occasionally appear in the most unexpected places. While such discoveries are uncommon, the possibility creates an emotional connection that extends far beyond money. For some people, finding a valuable coin could feel like receiving a sudden financial windfall, covering a down payment on a home, or experiencing a once-in-a-lifetime discovery that transforms an ordinary afternoon into an unforgettable memory. That possibility is precisely why millions of coins continue to be examined one by one. If you decide to inspect your own 1952 Jefferson Nickel, take a slow and careful approach instead of rushing to conclusions. Begin by checking the coin's weight using a precise digital scale, since unexpected weight differences may deserve further investigation. Observe the metal color under proper lighting to determine whether it appears normal or unusually toned. Examine the strike alignment to ensure both sides are properly centered, and study the rim shape for any unusual thickness, distortion, or missing sections. Pay close attention to every letter and number, looking carefully for genuine letter doubling rather than ordinary wear or damage. A magnifying glass or microscope can reveal details invisible to the naked eye. But even then, professional authentication remains the most reliable way to determine whether an unusual feature is truly valuable. Professional grading services play a crucial role because they provide expert examination, authentication, and condition assessments that buyers and sellers trust. Many coins that appear extraordinary at home ultimately prove to be common after careful inspection, while others that seem ordinary unexpectedly reveal rare characteristics once examined by specialists. Patience is one of the greatest advantages a collector can have, because learning to distinguish genuine mint-made features from circulation damage takes time and experience. Every scratch, every line, every surface texture, and every tiny design element contributes to the overall story of the coin, making careful observation far more valuable than quick assumptions based solely on internet rumors or exaggerated claims. The remarkable journey of the 1952 Liberty Jefferson Nickel reminds us that history often hides inside the smallest everyday objects, waiting for someone curious enough to notice the details that everyone else ignores. Somewhere, another forgotten coin may still be resting inside a dresser drawer, an old piggy bank, a dusty attic, or the bottom of a kitchen jar, quietly waiting for the moment someone finally takes a closer look. Whether that coin turns out to be an ordinary keepsake or an extraordinary collectible, the excitement of the search never truly disappears. And just when you think you've uncovered every secret this incredible nickel has to offer, another astonishing coin with an even more unbelievable story is ready to challenge everything you thought you knew about pocket change. The 2000p Jefferson Nickel might look like an ordinary 5-cent coin, but hidden beneath its familiar appearance is a fascinating story that has captured the attention of collectors across the United States for years. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint, without a mint mark, this small coin represents the final years of the original Jefferson Nickel design before the dramatic changes introduced in the early 2000s. Millions of Americans carried these nickels every day, rarely giving them a second glance, yet experienced collectors know that even a modern coin can become surprisingly desirable under the right circumstances. A razor-sharp strike, flawless surfaces, or an unusual mint error can transform what appears to be common pocket change into a conversation piece that collectors eagerly pursue, proving that extraordinary discoveries sometimes begin with the most ordinary objects. The obverse features the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson with the word Liberty and the date 2000, while the reverse displays Monticello with remarkable architectural detail when fully struck. Most examples entered circulation immediately and accumulated scratches, dull luster, and worn details, making pristine specimens increasingly difficult to locate decades later. Collectors often search through bank rolls and old coin jars, hoping to uncover coins that escaped heavy circulation, because brilliant original surfaces and crisp design elements are becoming less common as time passes. Even though this issue was produced in large numbers, condition remains one of the biggest factors separating an ordinary nickel from one that attracts serious collector interest. One of the biggest reasons collectors examine the 2000p Jefferson nickel so carefully is the possibility of mint errors and striking anomalies. Off-center strikes, broad strikes, clip planchets, die cracks, doubled letters, die chips, and other production mistakes can all add excitement when they are genuine and professionally verified. While dramatic errors are uncommon, they continue to inspire collectors to inspect every detail under proper lighting and magnification. The thrill comes from knowing that a tiny difference created during the minting process could make one coin stand apart from millions of nearly identical pieces, turning a routine search into an unforgettable discovery. Condition grading adds another layer of mystery because two coins from the same year can have dramatically different collector appeal. A heavily circulated example may be worth only face value, while an exceptional uncirculated specimen with blazing luster, sharp details, and virtually no contact marks may attract much stronger interest. Professional grading services carefully evaluate strike quality, surface preservation, eye appeal, and originality before assigning a grade, and those small differences can significantly influence market demand. For many collectors, the challenge is not simply finding a 2000p nickel, but finding one that survived in remarkable condition. Stories of valuable coins have inspired countless treasure hunts, but every coin deserves realistic expectations. Depending on condition, authenticity, rarity, and verified mint errors, collectors sometimes discuss illustrative value ranges such as $2,500 to $3,500 for certain minor but desirable authenticated varieties, around $5,000 for exceptional high-grade examples, approximately $6,000 for unusual verified mint anomalies, about $7,500 for especially scarce collector pieces, around $8,000 to $8,500 for remarkable authenticated finds with strong demand, and in extraordinary circumstances up to about $9,000 for historically important or exceptionally rare examples. These figures are examples rather than guarantees, because every coin is unique, and the market ultimately determines what a buyer is willing to pay. Imagine discovering a forgotten nickel tucked away inside an old dresser drawer, a family coin jar, or the bottom of a worn wallet, only to learn that careful preservation and a rare characteristic have made it far more interesting than anyone expected. For some people, that possibility feels like finding unexpected savings for a home down payment, receiving a surprise financial windfall, or experiencing a once-in-a-lifetime collecting moment. While such outcomes are uncommon, they remind collectors why patience, curiosity, and careful examination remain at the heart of the hobby, encouraging enthusiasts to appreciate both the history and the excitement behind every coin they inspect. If you decide to examine your own 2000p Jefferson nickel, pay close attention to several important details before drawing conclusions. Compare the coin's weight with official specifications using a precise digital scale. Observe whether the metal color appears normal or unusual. Inspect the strike alignment to ensure the design is properly centered. Study the rim for irregular shapes or missing sections, and look closely for genuine letter doubling rather than ordinary machine doubling or wear. Strong magnification and proper lighting are invaluable tools, but professional authentication is the safest way to confirm whether a suspected error or unusual variety is genuine before assigning significant value. The next remarkable coin could be hiding inside a forgotten collection, an old piggy bank, a roll from the local bank, or even the loose change in your pocket, waiting for someone patient enough to notice what everyone else overlooked. That possibility keeps collectors searching year after year, knowing that history sometimes survives in the smallest pieces of everyday currency. Before you spend another ordinary-looking nickel, take one final look, because the smallest detail could completely change its story, and the next coin we'll uncover may reveal an even more shocking secret that few collectors ever expect to find.